when you are in a state of mind that you shouldn't be trading, it's going to manifest in your trading, right?
It is.
It's
yes.
it's not trading psychology that's important. It's psychology that's important.
Welcome back, everybody, to Be the Trader. Today is going to be a great day. I'm back in Austin, and I'm here to see a friend now that I met not too long ago. He's a trader and also a principal at Avatar Securities. His name is Jake Chupick. Jake, welcome to the show, my man.
How are you?
How you doing, man?
Good, very good.
So, take us, because there may be some people on here who may already have a familiarity with who you are and what your background is.
Right.
But there's going to be some people who don't. So could you start off from the beginning of like what got you into trading and got you where you are now?
Okay, that's a crazy story. So I've always been interested in economics and stuff, even as a kid. Like I remember being in like 5th and 6th grade, like getting my quarterly statements from UBS. I didn't know they were quarterly at the time, but I would go every day, check the mailbox, open it up, and ask my dad, what does this mean and what does that mean? And I had like $1,000 that my grandpa bought me in stocks, and so I'd check that, right? And then September of 2011, my mom got killed, and it was pretty horrific, just completely random. And my dad said to me, he took one life, don't let him take another, right? And that meant a lot. Like, it meant a lot of things in such a short sentence, right? And so I took 2 weeks to mourn, went back to school, and my first period teacher was algebra, and he pulls me aside outside in the class, and he goes, you missed too much class, like I'm gonna have to fail you. Like you have to retake this, right? I said, okay, well, that makes sense, whatever, fine. I go to my counselor, he's like, yeah, like we're gonna move you to pass fail, like just do what you can, like use that time however you want, like catch up on your other work, whatever. And I heard what my dad said. He already took one life, don't let him take another. Don't let this consume your life, is really what I heard. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this opportunity to do something positive, not dwell on the negative, focus on doing something new. I've always been interested in stocks. I gamed a lot. I ran in the auction house in World of Warcraft when I was a kid. Just things like that. And I was like, I think this translates well. So I went to Barnes & Noble, bought a book about day trading, and I sat in that first period class and just read that book and listened.
What age was this?
I was a sophomore in high school, so 16, yeah. So it started there. This was September 2011.
Wait, I'm sorry, I gotta say this. At that age and be able to hear that message, so first off, like when you told me that, I'm very sorry. Like, it hurts me because I know it just makes me think about my mother, So like, I'm very sorry that happened. But to hear that message from your father and let that like push you is 2 weeks of mourning, like that's fast to me. At first, I'm like, wow, that's amazing that you were able to like, for sure mourn, but then grow.
Oh, I was still mourning, and at the time, like you think like, oh, I can be a man about this or whatever. But in hindsight, it took me years to get past that and accept it, right? And so
you pick up the book.
Yeah, so I picked up the book, read it in the back of the class, and my grandma actually sent me a Dave Brubeck CD. And so I got it on iTunes or whatever, and I would listen to that, which is like kind of like jazz music.
Okay.
So I'd listen to jazz or classical music, read this book, and then it just kind of like started me in this whole journey. And I was like, okay, this is like what I really want to do.
Hey, we wouldn't be able to do these face-to-face interviews if it wasn't for our sponsor, Cobra Trading. So if you can just give them a few seconds of your time, we'd really appreciate it. Cobra Trading is the go-to broker for day traders and short sellers. And I'm not the only one saying this. In fact, Benzinga awarded Cobra Trading as the go-to broker for short selling. They have a heavy focus on direct market access order routing, so you have the fastest execution. They have some of the best locate prices and availability. They also have amazing customer service. I've experienced many different brokers, and it's why I use them every single day and why I'm proud to have them as our sponsor. Sign up now by clicking the Be the Trader referral link below and earn 1 free month of software with Cobra and 25% off all commissions. Now let's get back to the show.
And then more of my classes became pass-fail, and nothing really mattered. Like this, I was like, this is what I'm focusing on. This is what matters. And then I had my counselor start me in a class called independent study. So a teacher, which was my finance teacher or accounting teacher as well, he sponsored me for this class, and I could teach myself whatever I wanted, whatever subject, right?
Okay.
So I said, I want to learn investing. Here's what I'm going to do. And they gave me from 9:40 to like 12 o'clock every day to just sit down on my laptop and work on this independent study. So I started doing that, and I think it was like November of 2011. I call up my grandma, who is an investor, and I was like, hey, I really think Netflix is a good buy.
When you say investor, what do you mean?
Like they were just retired at that point. They had built and sold a company, my grandparents.
Cool.
And they were just kind of living off of their portfolio. And so I was like, I think Netflix is a great buy. Here's all the reasons why. Streaming's getting bigger. You can now get it on, Xbox and PlayStation type of thing. Like it was just the start of that. And I thought I was a great investor at the time, but it was the luckiest trade of my life. It was like $65 when I bought Netflix for the first time. So we bought 100 shares of Netflix at $65. It went up 100%, like immediately, like within the first 4 months. And I was like, okay, let's sell this, for double. And 2012, I'm doing this independent study the whole time. It evolves into less and less investing, more and more trading. And I actually, wildly enough, I met a mentor on Reddit on Wall Street Bets.
Really?
Back when there was like 15,000 people on Wall Street Bets.
What is there now? Because I don't keep up with them too much.
I don't know, 1 million or something.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I met this
baby
guy.
stage.
Yeah. And it honestly, back then, Wall Street Bets was a subreddit for day traders. And that was it. Because every other subreddit related to finance was just like, here's what Warren Buffett says, and here's how to dollar cost average into stocks, and here's how to pick a mutual fund for your right. So it was kind of like the one safe haven for people who were speculating or whatever. So this one guy was posting all his trades every day, and just a list of all his buys and sells. And people were kind of like, oh, you're not doing this, like no way, right? Why are you just giving all this information for free? I message him. I'm like, hey, here's my story. I'm 16.
Yeah.
I'd love to be part of your chat room or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I joined his chat room, which was an IRC chat, like very old school.
That is old school.
Oh, yeah. And we just talked like every day. And he just kind of, from 9:40 to 12 or 1 o'clock or whatever it was, he would just like tell me what he was looking at and point me in the right direction.
You were in school?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So during your independent studies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So he would just message me on IRC, and I had notebooks. I have a stack of notebooks probably this high of just research and, me taking notes throughout the years. And it was just a weird thing. He was a soldier in Fallujah and came back and just somehow got into trading. And it was just a crazy way to connect, really,
yeah, for
honestly.
Sure.
So him and I, he was my mentor for like 4 years or so. And where were we going with this?
So basically, like, you said you met this guy for your independent studies, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to find out, I would love to know, I did have a question, so I'm glad you stopped right there. I really want to know, like, how was it that you were just thinking, I need to study, how were you able to convince the school that independent studies equals stocks? Like, how did that happen? Because I was just like,
I don't know if it was
a subject that, you know.
If it was the situation or the circumstance, or maybe my teacher who, I mean, the guy that sponsored it, Mr. Smith was his name. Shout out to Mr. Smith. He was just like always trying to teach kids, like, there's another way. You don't have to go to college. Like, he owned a gymnastics gym. And I think he made significantly more money doing that than being a teacher, but he was just really passionate about teaching kids basic accounting and personal finance and stuff like that. So I think he was like really gung-ho about it. And yeah, I mean, really maybe I'm a good salesman at it, I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, because that's a great teacher to have, right? Someone who's looking at children, right? And basically saying, like, everyone learns different. There's different paths. Because, you know, we're taught there's, like, usually just one path, you know, like, you all got to go this route or you're not successful, right? So I'm glad you shared that, because there's probably someone out there who might be in a situation similar, right? And they might be going through a hard time in studies. Maybe they didn't have the same history, but just a hard time in studies. And that's a good message. So you were saying that you met your mentor, right? And this is a longer journey to where you are today. So I'm just very curious, like, after you meet your mentor, after about 4 years with him, what happens next?
Well, so I buy another 200 shares of Netflix just to speed this up. At like $90 and some change. This is all pre-split. Okay. You know, it split 7 for 1 when it was at $700 back in 2015. So we buy 200 shares at around $90 in 2012 and sit on that. And so I graduate high school May 2013, and I have an internship in New York at a prop firm. I go do that for a summer, and then I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Made great connections with people, you know.
Stop right there, though. I want to ask you, what was that like going from school, like you just graduated, and then going to that firm? Like, was what you thought trading was like it when you saw it? Or was it like, you know what I'm saying, like when you get surrounded by it, was it the same exact thing you thought, where you're like, wow, it's much more, or? Yeah,
no, honestly it was. You know, I did a lot of research, and I was just hyper focused on this, and it's literally all I did. So yeah.
So it's what you expected?
It was a confirmation, really, is what it was, yeah. And yeah, so I did that, and then I came back after that, and I read Mike Bellafiore's book, One Good Trade.
Yep, good book.
Yeah, and then page 17, he mentions Ray Holland at Avatar Securities, so I highlighted that. And I looked up their firm, and I looked up their website, and they had no marketing, and the website was really dated. And I was like, I wonder if these guys are still in business, right? So I look them up on Edgar, which is the SEC's website, and they're still filing their focus reports that broker-dealers need to file. And I was like, okay, they're still running.
What's a focus report for those?
It's just every broker-dealer has to file a form that does, it says a bunch of things.
Okay, so anyone can see that?
Yeah, anybody can, it's public. And it's just kind of like a general state of where they're at in one specific time. It doesn't mean a whole lot, but it's something that they have to do, right? So they're filing these focus reports. Okay, they're in business still. Like, if they're not marketing and they're still in business, then they must be good.
Right? That's a good point.
Yeah. And yeah, so I was like, okay, I want to work for this firm at some point. And I kind of called up some firms. I was 18 at the time, and I was like, oh, I want to trade with you. Like, I have
Where were you at in experience in terms of, were you day trading at this point? Because I know you keep saying you're doing
I was trading in school.
Okay. Were you consistent? Like, did you find it yet?
No.
Or were you at yet?
No, definitely not. Cool. I was just playing around. Cool. And then, so I did the internship, did all that. And then 2014, my grandparents gave me my starting bankroll. They're like, we made a lot of money here.
Yeah.
Here's $50K.
Yeah.
Right? Here's your portion of the profits.
Yeah.
And so I used that as bankroll.
Yep.
And I started trading options because my mentor was trading options at the time. And he was basically spoon-feeding me trades.
Yeah.
and I was following them with mixed results. You know,
Sure.
You can't do that. It's not how it works. It works great for him.
Yeah.
But for me, different styles, different
Isn't that interesting?
risk profiles and stuff. Yeah.
That's so crazy to me that you can learn from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually just sit with them. You can learn everything they do, but you may not quite execute the same way.
You can't. You
Right?
just can't. I mean, there's so many reasons why, market-wise, personality-wise.
Personality is a
yeah.
huge one, and
Yeah.
like risk tolerance, how you view risk.
Exactly.
Like there's just so many differences. So I'm glad you said that. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and so I was doing what he was doing for a little bit, and having some success and some not. You know, good months, bad months, no consistency. And then I finally got the strategy of trading unusual option activity at the time. It was pretty popular. And there's one guy in particular that had a room, like an alert service, and he had a screener, and I was able to reverse engineer that and get in before he was.
Okay.
You know, so I was kind of involved in that and making, you know, I found a little edge for myself there.
For sure.
Right? That dried up really quick.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it was there for as long as it lasted, like 8 months or whatever it was. And I made a good bit doing that.
Cool.
I was okay, what's the next thing? And I tried that, and I was like, all right, options isn't it? The spread's too wide. You know, you're talking about 15% spreads at some points back then. It was rough trading. It's like, okay, I want to trade equities. Like that's really where it is. And I started shopping around firms. They all said no. You're too young. You can't join.
How many do you think? Like
wait
2,
until
3 firms?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah. They're like, you have to be 21.
Okay, so it was mainly focused on the age?
Yeah. Back then, there was a 56 exam you had to take. I think the Chicago Board of Trade, CBOE, required an age requirement. I don't know exactly. I could never find the rule. So I waited and just kept trading options at the time. And in September of 2015, I had to put my dog down. He was very old, 15, I think.
Yeah.
Put him down, and my mentor was like, just trade through it. Like, focus on trading. That'll keep your mind off of it. Like, don't let it open up the can of worms. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. And I was trading very large at the time. Like, I was trading default contract size on like high beta names like Amazon and Priceline and stuff, 10 contracts. That's 1,000 shares.
Okay, yeah.
10, 25 contracts, 50 or even 100 on
and
stuff.
And this was at 2000, what age were you now?
What age was I in 2015? I don't even know, 20?
So it's 2015,
19,
okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I blew up completely in that 1 month. I lost like 89 grand, pretty much destroyed myself. And I had just enough left to like survive. So I went on vacation, went to San Francisco with my mentor and a couple other people. We hung out for a weekend, had a good time. And I just took like 3 or 4 months off. And my great aunt runs a charity in Michigan where she helps kids from troubled homes. I went out there and helped her on the ranch and, you know, just kind of kept things up and just decompress, really.
Yeah, for sure.
And everything
and it's like
that
helping
happened.
others. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
it's giving back.
I mean, I went from, my friends called me Mr. Netflix, and I thought I was going to buy an Aston Martin at some
Netflix,
point. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a little bit making fun of me, but a little bit like I was their sugar daddy almost, you know?
Yeah.
And I, honest to God, thought I was going to buy an Aston Martin at 19 years old.
Yeah.
I thought, this is the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
You know? That's one day. One day I can make that payment. So naive, right? So I take some months off, try to figure out what happened, you know. Really it came down to when you are in a state of mind that you shouldn't be trading, it's going to manifest in your trading, right?
It is.
It's not trading psychology that's important. It's psychology that's important. And if you're not ready to trade, like if you're suffering through
Say that
something.
one more time. Sorry, I want to hear that again. Like just because that was really, I love that you said that. I just got to hear. It's not trading psychology.
Yeah, it's not trading psychology.
It's
that's
psychology.
important. Right. And really that's it. And if there's something wrong in your life outside of trading, it will manifest itself in trading. And I didn't realize that at the time.
A lot of people don't realize that right now.
No, right.
And until it happens, right?
Exactly. And that's one thing I tell all the guys that I manage now is, hey, like, you just had a death in the family. Let's cut your risk. Take some time off. Take as much time as you need, honestly. Like, that's more important than the money. Yep. And honestly, you're probably just going to lose the money because you're not in the right state of mind. If you're depressed, you probably think of things very negatively.
Yep.
If you have a position going against you, you're going to be in a bad mindset, right? Yeah. You just can't trade like that. So, you know, that's kind of where I came from. And I was like, okay, here's what I need to do going forward. This is whatever, like, you know.
Okay.
Then I turned 21, shopped all the firms around again, and I talked to Ray at Avatar. I was like, hey, I'm interested in either going to New York or Chicago. It was completely dependent on my best friend, wherever he got a job. I was like, I'll move to either city. There's firms in both locations. I can do it. He gets a better offer in Chicago, so him and I drive from Michigan down to Chicago, stay at my buddy's place, and I go and I meet Adam, who runs the Chicago office. Him and I have like an hour-and-a-half conversation, and I was gonna go meet another firm after that. Totally blew it off. I was like, this is, you know, Ray was great, Adam's great. These are guys I want to work with. This is what I want to do. So I go study for the exams. It took me like 3 months to study for the exam, which was a 57 back at the time, which was a very large, it was like a 3-hour exam or something.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. And I actually failed it by 2 questions. They were both about Dutch auctions. I'll never forget that. I don't know why. I just, like, the one thing, I was like, I don't remember this in my study material. And so I had to wait a month, took it again, passed. And then I moved to Chicago and started trading at Avatar. And then the rest is kind of crazy. Like, when I read that book and I saw Ray Holland at Avatar Securities and did all that, I kind of had a plan. I was like, I'm going to work at this place at some point. I'm going to make them a website, you know, update their website, make it look modern.
Yep.
And, you know, eventually get to a place where I'm managing traders and, you know.
And now you're here.
Right. And now I'm here. And that's exactly what happened. I was trading. I started trading in 2017, July of 2017, I think, in Chicago. Did that for 2 years.
Yep.
And then I overheard Adam mention something about getting the website rebuilt. And I popped in. I was like, oh, hey, I can do that. And he's like, okay, show me on Monday. I had no idea how to build a website. You know? Yeah. So I spent all weekend putting something together.
Yeah.
And I showed him. And I was like, yeah, here's, you know, what I'm thinking to start. Obviously, you know, we got to add text and whatnot. But here's the general outline. He's like, okay, keep working on this. So it became a project that him and I did.
Yeah.
A couple months go by. We're ready to roll this thing out. And it worked. We launched the website. Everything was great. I still run the website today. And that just slowly gave me more and more responsibilities. So like, oh, you can do this? Okay, sure. Like, here's this and here's this. And then one of my buddies wanted to join. And so I brought him on board, and then that just started, and like, okay, like, that's your guy now. Like, you manage that relationship. And then over the years, you know, more friends wanted to join, and now I have a group of traders that I manage. And in 2019, I pitched coming down to Austin, Texas to start an office. And they're like, yeah, this is something we definitely want to do at some point.
Yeah.
I wish they listened to me back then, because that would have been a lot better. But in October 2021, they asked me to come down here
and you were like, let's go.
And start an office. And yeah, and I was
I'm
like,
glad you
absolutely.
Came, yeah, I'm glad you came, because now I got to meet you. It's just awesome. You're in the best state in the United States, which is amazing. So I'm so happy to hear that. I have a couple of questions, man, because you said a lot, and I appreciate it, because you shared. Your journey is so unique, but I believe we all go through whoever you believe in uses you to go through times, so because you have the ability to push through it. You might not know it at the time, right? You might be going through something really hard, but because it's in front of you, it means you can overcome it. And you've shown this through so many different ways and examples that someone's definitely going to see this and be like, you know what, I can keep going. Because you take your, I mean, it's like as soon as I hear that you say you're about to like, okay, I took the test and I didn't pass the first time. Like, I love that you said that, because it shows like there's someone else who didn't pass the first time either, right? Yeah. Like, it's okay to not pass. It's okay to fail, right? And that's so huge as a trader, which I'm sure you agree, like failing is part of trading. Like, you're not going to be right every time. And you've just proven that through your life, that every time you just keep going, you keep pushing, and it's hard. And the fact that you said, and this is huge, I want to ask you this question, and I want you to elaborate on this. When you talk about your psychology, how important it is and how you feel, whether it has anything to do with trading, it could be anything outside of trading. In fact, it could be even harder to recognize because it's outside of your trading. What do you do now? Like, what do you suggest people do, or is everyone should be do something different? Because I know you talk to a lot of traders, and you manage your own psychology. Yeah. So, like, what are some rules you have in place, or some thoughts you think about when you start to see or sense, or what is it you think about psychology to help yourself? I'm always cognizant of where my headspace is. Yeah. And what I'm going through, at any given time. So, moving, for example, that's a stressful time in somebody's life. Buying a house is a stressful time in somebody's life. Death of a loved one, a breakup, all kinds of different life events. Yeah. Really is a good summary. Life events. They inflict a certain level of stress or a response, and it's not that you need to stop trading or cut down on your trading. You just need to be cognizant of how that's affecting your emotions, right? And then be mindful of that in your trading, and like, okay, am I really in a good spot to trade right now? Be honest with yourself. Is it yes or is it no? It's sometimes hard to say yes. Right. I think a lot of people probably struggle with that. Like, they probably feel it right now watching this, like, damn, I do feel that right now. But I think I'm going to trade today. Right. So then cut your risk down. Lower, protect yourself. Yeah. Change your stop, right? If you want to trade, and most people do, just cut your stop down. Are you really willing to lose your max loss on a day where you're not feeling 100%? Probably not. Probably not. Yeah, it's probably not a good idea. Yeah. What would you say from your journey, because there's a lot of things that you face personally. In terms of your trading, was there anything you faced in your trading that was really hard for you to overcome? Yeah, I mean, that losing pretty much everything you had when you're 19 is a pretty tough, going from I'm going to buy an Aston Martin to I should have gone to college is a very profound feeling. Yeah, just like that range. Like, I mean, I really thought I was going to buy an Aston Martin. And you're 19. So. Yeah, I was still living at home, saving all my money, thankfully. So I had enough saved where I could survive and fund myself. And that was one of the reasons why joining a prop firm was for me, for sure. Getting over PDT and stuff back then. And I mean, really, it's just that. How'd you overcome that then? Because you said that was the hardest part. Like, how were you able to just continue to like push? Even was it easy coming back to trading? Like, after that day? No, it took a long time. It took a long time of trading. To even push your first trade, or like to just get back in it? Like, explain. Well, I wanted to switch from options to equities, right? Yeah. And I also wanted to understand what happened, what went wrong, right? Why did my strategies stop working? What happened then? And why did I blow up? What was the cause there? How was I? And I have notebooks where I write scratch notes every day and do pre-market prep, so I could kind of see what I was thinking or what I was lacking in doing. What do you mean scratch notes, pre-market just like prep? I have a notebook, and I just write, this ticker, blah 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 news, or this level, or whatever is important.
just raw thoughts, nothing significant.
So it could be stock related or
it's a scratch pad. Yeah.
Or mostly stock.
Most stocks.
Okay,
Yeah, stocks. Gotcha. Yeah. And so I went through all that. I went through all my data, just kind of looked back, and that took 6 months of just kind of looking back and analyzing what really happened in that 1 month, what happened prior, why didn't this work anymore, why didn't that work anymore. And you notice regime changes. You notice sometimes strategies just stop working for many reasons. And I learned to identify that. Like, there's periods where some strategies work and others don't. In a market that's good for you, maybe a market that's horrible for me in my system. And you kind of just develop a playbook after that. So that's kind of what I started doing.
I like that you said that too. The market that's good for you might be not so good for me. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people have a community, somewhat of a small community, whether it's another friend or a group of traders on a Discord, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And they'll hear that, oh man, it's a hot market. Maybe 3 out of the 4 is like, man, it's killing it right now. And then one of the 4 is probably feeling like, man, I don't really see much, or I'm just taking a losing streak, right?
Yeah.
How do you, because you're around a lot of traders yourself, and you're talking to them, and that's part of what you love to do, and it's also what you need to do, right? So like doing that, how do you make sure, like, to that one trader who's maybe that one who's going through a rough spot, but everyone else is like, this is my best year ever. What do you suggest to them?
Can't compare yourself to anybody. And honestly, like, I used to do that back when I was younger. I've been on Twitter since the beginning, of when I started trading. And yeah, I used to compare myself to all kinds of people and people with 10 years more experience than me. And like, what good does that do? Everybody's on a different journey. Everybody has drawdowns at some point. It's completely natural. How do you mitigate it? Focus on comparing yourself to your prior self. And as long as you're growing, slowly, that 1% every day or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all that matters, right?
So were you constantly focused on, like, at one point you just said, I'm just focus on my growth every day, or was there other things you thought about to help you focus in that way?
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of how I saw it, just small, incremental changes. And one of the things of moving to Chicago and being at a desk was, I'm going to be around guys that are good. I'm going to be around good traders that have been around a lot longer than I have, and that's what I need, because I'm 21 and I don't know much, and I definitely knew a lot less than I thought I did, right? So I just joined them and sat down at the desk, and the guy that I used to sit next to was trading since '99, and he was just like a treasure trove of information. So I just became a sponge, and I'm just sitting there soaking up everything he has to say, and he's survived for a very long time and makes good money.
That's a long time, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
Is there something that you remember from that conversation with him?
Oh, man, there's a lot. There's just, never be a hero. I hear that all the time, Yeah. You see the meme stocks. I heard that every day in January and February 2021. Just don't be a hero. Just wait for the right opportunity. It's going to happen. Don't be a hero. And that would just replay in my head constantly. So yeah, stuff like that. Honestly, nothing like other than that.
I love that. Don't be a hero, because that protects you in so many ways. Like whether you're trying to like catch the top in the short,
right?
Or you're trying to catch the bottom, or you're trying to hold out because you want to be right. And I bet that helps you so much in just making sure you don't make those mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? But speaking of mistakes, like for those traders who are watching this and they're just like, man, I make mistakes every day, and it's frustrating. What do you suggest to those people?
Figure out why you're making those mistakes. Is it because trading, or is it because of something outside of trading? Do you lack the discipline? It's not the trading discipline, it's that you lack discipline, right? Are you impatient? Do you have anxiety? Are you drinking? If you have anxiety and you're drinking coffee every day, what are you doing? That's a horrible idea. Go caffeine free for a year. Try to fix your anxiety, Cure your anxiety, and then you'll cure your trading anxiety. You can't cure your trading anxiety and still have regular anxiety. That doesn't work. That's what I'd say. Find the root cause. Don't treat the trading cause.
Right. That's great, man. I love that you said that, because I haven't heard anyone say that on the show ever. Like, just like, it's not trading psychology, it's psychology.
Yeah.
Because that's like the root cause, like you said. That's like your subconscious. Like, whenever you feel like you're trading and you just kind of like go on tilt, maybe that could just be those random occurrences of that history, just pulling the strings, right? So, before we wrap this up, Jake, I just want to ask you one last thing. And you've given so much great information, but I just really want to ask this. So, maybe something you've said, but I still need to ask you this. If there was just, you had a brand new person come in today, right? And maybe they came from a rough experience, right? Whatever that may be. And they want to get started in trading. Like, how would you suggest someone to really view trading before they just dive in?
I would say just focus on the process. Like, data, having real edge, that matters 100 times more than trading psychology or psychology. If you don't have a trading strategy, if you don't understand what's happening in the markets, if you don't understand the very basics of how the markets work, how shares are, actually traded among broker dealers, and stuff like the very basics. If you don't understand that and how the market structure, then nothing. The trading psychology doesn't matter. Focus on having a system, developing that system, and having a real edge where you can point to and say, like, this is what I'm expecting. That matters. And honestly, most traders shouldn't execute for the first year of their trading. Just sit there and watch. And I think a lot of people don't have the patience for that, or they don't have the money, honestly, is probably a big part of it. Because it's very hard to sit there and for a year and have an expected return of zero, right?
It is very hard to do that. It is, but I'm glad you said that, though. Like, focus on the process, focus on finding a system that works, and something that you can follow. And the psychology can come second, but at least focus on this. That way you can worry about your psychology next. Yeah. But look, man, it's been a great time talking to you, Jake. I want people to know, like, if they want to learn more about you, what you do, maybe they have a question that maybe I haven't asked. Where can they learn more about you? My Twitter, at Jake Chupick. Hit me up. I'm on there. I don't really post a lot about trading. It's pretty hard to in my position, and I just kind of like to go in there and joke around. But when I'm bored, Yeah, for sure. But yeah. Well, look, brother. Hey, I appreciate it so much. It was great having you, bro. Yeah.